I skipped my promotion ceremony to help my husband recover from surgery. While cooking dinner, his phone kept buzzing. I finally checked and found messages from his physical therapist saying, "I love that I'm the one you really want." He walked in and said, "It's not what it looks like." So I packed his things into the car he couldn't drive yet, called her to come pick him up, and left them both sitting in our driveway in the rain. I'm Rachel. I'm 38, and I live in Tulsa, Oklahoma. I'm a nurse manager at one of the major hospitals in the city. I've been there almost 11 years. I don't complain. I don't cut corners. I work holidays. I cover shifts when people call in sick. I stay late when there's a code blue or when the floor is short. The job is hard. Emotionally, physically, you carry a lot. But I've always thought if I just worked hard enough, things would work out. I've been married to Greg for 6 years. He's a safety supervisor at a construction firm. We met at a church fundraiser, of all places. He was charming. Funny in a dry, sarcastic way. Tall, broad shoulders, big hands that made me feel small and safe. We moved fast. Moved in together after 8 months. Got married a year later. We had our rough patches: money, stress, me working too much, him shutting down when things got hard, but we always found a way back to each other. Or at least I thought we did. A few weeks ago, I got the news that I was being promoted to director of nursing. I cried when my supervisor told me. Not because of the title, but because I had sacrificed so much to get there: family holidays, my health, even the chance to have kids, and finally, it was paying off. The ceremony was set for a Thursday night. They were going to do a whole thing: a catered dinner, awards, the hospital board present. It was supposed to be my night. But the week before, Greg tore his ACL playing basketball with coworkers. He went in for surgery, and the recovery was brutal. He could barely move. Needed help getting to the bathroom. I took time off work. I cooked, cleaned, stayed up all night icing his leg, helped him shower. I even bought him one of those stupid little bells to ring if he needed something. When the night of the ceremony came, I stayed home. I told my supervisor I couldn't leave Greg alone. She said they could postpone it, but I said no. He needs me more, I told her. So, while everyone else at work was celebrating, sipping wine, clapping for each other, I was in my kitchen, rolling chicken cutlets in breadcrumbs and worrying if I'd refilled his pain meds. He was in the living room watching some action movie with the sound cranked up. I remember thinking how weirdly quiet the house felt under all that noise. Then his phone started buzzing. It was sitting on the counter next to the spice rack. Buzz, buzz, buzz. At first, I ignored it, but it didn't stop. I glanced at the screen. A message popped up. "Amber, PT, I love that I'm the one you really want." I stared at it. My brain kind of stalled. Physical therapist? I tapped the message. It opened a thread filled with dozens of texts. "Amber, wish I could have stayed longer today. You smell like me now." Amber, did she notice? Or is she still too busy playing superwife? Amber, I'll sneak over after her shift again soon. There were pictures. Her, in leggings and a sports bra, sitting in the driver's seat of her car. Him, shirtless, giving some smug half-smile in what looked like our guest bathroom. I felt the air leave my lungs. Then I heard him coming down the hall, crutching slowly toward the kitchen. "Hey babe, is the food almost?" I turned around, phone still in my hand. He saw it. Saw my face. His mouth opened, but no words came. Then he said it. "It's not what it looks like." That sentence. That stupid, pathetic, insulting sentence. I held the phone up. "She says she's the one you really want." He started limping closer. "Rach, I'm sorry. I didn't mean for it to get serious. It just happened." I stared at him. I thought about how I'd carried him to bed, changed his dressings, emptied his urine bottle, missed my own ceremony for him. And he was out here sexting some woman with foam rollers and yoga pants. I didn't scream. I didn't throw anything. I went to the bedroom and started packing his stuff. Methodical. Quiet. Folded some of it. Shoved other things in bags without care. He followed me, confused. You're not serious. Rachel, I can't even drive. I didn't say a word. Just zipped up a duffel bag and dragged it into the hallway. You're really going to do this now? I'm injured. I laughed. A short, bitter bark. Guess it's a good thing your little side chick knows how to drive. He said, I didn't mean to hurt you. I spun around. But you did. Over and over. While I was working night shifts and holding your hand in surgery recovery, you were texting her. He sat down, grimacing like the pain made him the victim. I grabbed his phone, hit dial on the last number. She answered in 2 rings. Hey, she purred. Miss me already? This is Rachel, I said, my voice ice cold. His wife. Come get your trash. He's waiting in the driveway. She hung up fast. He started crying. I didn't care. I put his bags in the trunk. Grabbed a tarp and covered them in case it rained. Helped him hobble out to the porch, where he sat in a folding chair, useless as ever. I locked the door behind him. It did rain. Not a downpour, just enough to soak through his socks. I watched from the window. Her car pulled up 30 minutes later, music thumping. She didn't get out right away. Then she finally stepped into the rain, popped the trunk, and stared at him. They didn't speak. At least not while I was watching. I didn't go outside. I didn't say goodbye. I just stood in the dark, in my scrubs, with dinner going cold on the stove, thinking, he made me miss my ceremony for this? But it wasn't over. Not by a long shot. I didn't sleep that night. Even after they left the driveway, him hunched in her passenger seat, his bags in the back, I stayed by the window. I kept the lights off. Just stood there, arms crossed, staring at the empty street like something was supposed to make sense. It didn't. It still doesn't. Around 2:30 a.m., I finally laid down on the couch. Our bed smelled like him. I couldn't handle that. The couch was too short, the throw pillow was scratchy, and my brain wouldn't stop going through every moment of the last year. I remembered his texts at odd hours, the way he suddenly wanted to stay after appointments for extra therapy, how he came home some nights smelling like a perfume I didn't wear. I'd asked him about it once. He told me I was imagining things. That maybe I'd sprayed something and forgotten. That bastard made me question myself. The next day, I went to work like nothing had happened. Walked in with puffy eyes and smiled at everyone like I hadn't just thrown my marriage into the rain the night before. No one asked about Greg. No one knew. I told my supervisor I was ready to reschedule the ceremony. She said, "We already did it, Ratch. Sorry, we didn't know when you'd be free again." Just like that. It was over. Years of work. 10 minutes of clapping and a cheap plaque I didn't even get to pick up myself. They left it in a manila envelope in my mailbox outside HR. I told myself I didn't care. But I did. The next week was chaos. Greg tried calling, texting. He left long voicemails where he'd start out calm and end up crying. He said he missed me. Said Amber wasn't what he thought. Said she was controlling. Said he made a mistake. I didn't respond. Then came the calls from a number I didn't recognize. Amber. She left one message. "Hey, just so you know, he's your problem again. I dumped him. You two deserve each other." I deleted it. 2 days later, I got served at work. Greg was filing for spousal support. That's when I lost it. He said I abandoned him while he was physically recovering. That I forced him out of the house. That he was financially dependent on me since I made more and he was out of work. My jaw literally dropped reading the paperwork. I paid our mortgage. I paid for his surgery. I stayed home and missed my promotion ceremony to take care of him while he cheated on me, and now he wanted me to pay him for it? He wasn't even embarrassed. My lawyer told me I had a fight ahead of me. Oklahoma's divorce laws aren't exactly forgiving. And since I was the one who removed him from the house, and he technically didn't have a job during recovery. He might get temporary support. It was like being kicked while already lying on the ground. But I didn't break. I got smart. I started digging. I knew Greg had a second phone once, said it was for work, then said he lost it. I remembered he kept a drawer of random crap in the garage, receipts, old chargers, cables, that sort of thing. So one Saturday, while he was still holed up somewhere licking his wounds, I went to that drawer. There it was. The second phone. Dead, dusty, and probably forgotten. I charged it. When it came on, my stomach turned. Photos. Texts. Not just with Amber. With other women. Dates going back 2 years. Some were random names. Others were listed by cities: Jen, OKC, Trish, Dallas. He'd been cheating for years. While I was holding dying patients' hands in COVID units, while I was working 60-hour weeks during RSV season, while I was watching my mother die of pancreatic cancer, he was out here screwing women in hotel rooms. The worst part? He bragged about it. I found a thread between him and a guy named Jason, some coworker of his. Greg. She makes more money than I do. Let her work her ass off. I'll play the supportive husband, LOL. Jason, you're living the dream, bro. She's too tired to notice anyway. Greg, exactly. One time I told her I had to stay late for meetings, and I was in Dallas getting a massage from this blonde chick I met at a bar. Rachel never even asked. I printed everything. I gave it to my lawyer. She nearly choked. This is gold, she said. This changes everything. That was the start of my revenge. The legal process dragged on for weeks. Greg was still filing for temporary spousal support, claiming he was emotionally distressed and unable to work. My lawyer filed a counterclaim with the evidence we had: texts, photos, messages, even the ones where he said I was too tired to notice he was cheating. But here's the thing, evidence like that doesn't always hit in court the way you want. My lawyer warned me that family court isn't about justice. It's about paperwork, perception, and who looks more believable to a tired judge on a Thursday afternoon. So I stayed quiet, calm, let my lawyer talk. But behind the scenes, I kept digging. One night, I was at home scrolling through that second phone again, and I noticed a contact saved only with a $sign emoji. I hadn't looked through that thread yet. When I opened it, my stomach dropped. It was a woman named Tasha. She worked at a massage place across the state line in Missouri, near Joplin. The texts weren't just flirty. They were transactions. Greg, you still doing the extra services? I can come by this weekend. Tasha, depends. You paying cash this time or Venmo? Last time was a hassle. There were Venmo screenshots. And she wasn't the only one. There were others with usernames that looked fake. All women. All paid. Some going back to before his surgery. Some even after. I showed everything to my lawyer. She paused, then said, Rachel, this isn't just cheating. This might be solicitation. I wasn't even shocked anymore. Just numb. We decided to subpoena his financial records and phone logs, just to pile it all up. I didn't know if we'd win, but I wanted the judge to see who he really was. But that's when the twist hit me from the other side. 3 weeks before the hearing, I got called into HR. I thought it was about work. Instead, they slid a letter across the table. It was a formal complaint against me. Someone had reported me for misuse of patient records and unethical conduct in a medical setting. My hands went cold. What the hell is this? The HR rep just looked uncomfortable. It was submitted anonymously, but it's detailed. They claimed I had looked up personal info on a patient I wasn't assigned to, Amber, the physical therapist. She had come in for a sprained wrist a month back. I didn't even treat her. But I remembered seeing her name in the system briefly when helping a nurse with a discharge. A total nothing moment. But someone had twisted it. Greg. It had to be. Or her. My stomach turned. They were trying to destroy my job. My promotion. My reputation. HR said they had to investigate. Said I'd be put on administrative review until they were done. I walked out of that office shaking. 10 years in nursing. All my late nights. All the patients I'd cried for, fought for, stayed after hours for, and now this? Greg wasn't just a cheater. He was a saboteur. He wanted to ruin me before I could finish what I started. He wanted to flip the script to make me the unstable one. But he didn't know how much fire I had left. I wasn't done. I wanted to fight him in court, but now he'd brought the fight to my workplace. Greg filing that complaint wasn't just petty, it was strategic. He knew how much my job meant to me. Knew I'd lose my mind if someone thought I'd break the rules with patient information. I couldn't sleep. I couldn't eat. I barely spoke to anyone at work. People started looking at me different, even before HR finished their so-called investigation. That's the worst part of rumors. They don't need to be true to do damage. I thought about quitting. But then something happened that cracked the whole thing open. A friend of mine in IT, James, someone I'd known since my early RN days, pulled me aside in the parking lot one night. He said, "You didn't hear this from me, but that complaint against you? It came from an IP address linked to a Gmail account made the same day. And that IP came from a house in Owasso." I blinked. Owasso? He nodded. And get this, it was tied to a cable account under Greg's name. That was all I needed. I took that to HR. My lawyer included it in our case file. I submitted a written statement with every receipt, every witness, every detail about the day I saw Amber's name pop up in the ER system. 2 days later, HR cleared me. Just like that. No apology. No handshake. Just a cold email saying I was no longer under review. But the damage was already done. People whispered. Some of them still looked at me like I got off on a technicality. Like maybe there was still something shady about me. I learned that truth doesn't always wipe things clean. But revenge does something different. The divorce hearing came 2 weeks later. Greg showed up in a wrinkled suit and a brace still strapped around his knee for sympathy. He made a show of limping. I wore black slacks, a gray blazer, and no makeup. I didn't want to look emotional. I wanted to look like a nurse testifying in front of a board. His lawyer tried to paint him as a broken man. Said I threw him out during recovery. Said I was cold, neglectful, and obsessed with my job. I sat there, stone-faced, while they painted a picture of me as some career-obsessed ice queen who left her poor, injured husband in the rain. Then my lawyer stood. She started with the texts. The second phone. The payments to massage therapists. The fake work trips. She showed the court the messages where he bragged about letting her bring home the bacon while he had his fun. Then she showed the IP address report from the complaint he filed against me. The judge's face tightened. Greg tried to interrupt. Tried to say I was making it all up. Then my lawyer dropped the final bomb. Greg had applied for a job 3 days after filing for spousal support. He was caught lying under oath about being unable to work. He got fined for perjury. He lost his spousal support request. He lost the house, since I was the one paying the mortgage. And the best part? His physical therapist, Amber, she filed a complaint against him for harassment. Said he got aggressive with her when she tried to end things after I kicked him out. Her complaint got him banned from the therapy clinic that his workers' comp relied on. He's still trying to find a clinic that'll take him. Good luck with that. I wish I could say I felt better. But honestly, it's complicated. I wasn't perfect. I did put my career ahead of a lot of things. I did ignore red flags. I let him gaslight me because I didn't want to see the cracks in my own marriage. And for a while, I blamed myself for that. But not anymore. Because Greg didn't just cheat. He used me. For my money, my patience, my work ethic, my stability. And then he tried to destroy me when I finally stood up for myself. He failed. I sold the house 6 months later. Took a job across the state in Stillwater. New hospital. New team. Clean start. The plaque from that promotion? I threw it out. I don't need it. I don't need recognition from people who didn't even bother to wait for me. I learned something more important. You can lose your house, your marriage, your name in the break room, and still come out cleaner than the man who thought he could tear you down from the inside. Greg wanted to make me suffer. But now he's the one living off disability checks in a one-bedroom apartment behind a pawn shop. I'm not angry anymore. But I hope every time it rains, he remembers the night I packed his life into bags, dropped it at his feet, and watched him disappear in her car. And I hope she kept the receipts. Because nothing's free. Especially not him.